This is a recording of F. Elbert Porter of 309 Woodhaven Drive, Lansing, Michigan, 48917. His phone number is area code 517-323-3068. The recording was made on August 24th, 1988 at the Oldsmobile History Center at 4000 North Grand River in Lansing. It was made by Jim Walkinshaw. All right, now we're on.
Well, it was right after I got out of high school.
Okay.
I had a friend that was working in Durant.
Okay.
Parts and service.
What year about would that have been?
29.
29. They were still making cars?
Yeah, it was getting near the end.
Okay.
And he took me in, and the superintendent just hired me.
Right on the spot?
Yeah. This was for the summer. I was going to go to college.
Okay.
This was a summer job. And we were in the time they were moving parts and service to a building of its own. So I got in on that. And then I became a trucker. I had an in-plant truck. They would get fenders and hoods and things out of service been ordered. I'd truck them over to the paint shop.
Oh, okay.
Give them to Gail Springer.
Oh, really?
He was head of the paint department.
Okay.
I just unloaded.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd go back when they were finished and come back to the building. Other guys went away.
Okay.
And it was just kind of a general, don't hear you do it.
Now, they must have then stored their materials, painted them, and restored them after they were painted then?
Yeah.
They didn't go right to the assembly line?
This was parts and service.
Oh, okay. These were the service fenders
parts
and hoods and so forth. Okay.
I didn't see the assembly line. I had to buy that in the paint shop. They were making frames out of wood.
Wooden frame?
Wooden frames.
That was the body frame? Or
The chassis frame.
the chassis frame was wood?
Put it on the line and away she go.
Mm-hmm.
I'd forgotten that.
Interesting. That's great.
But I didn't really work on the line. It was one summer.
Okay.
It was 3 months.
Uh-huh.
Then I went to school.
Where'd you go to school?
MSU.
Okay.
Then I ran out of money.
What were you taking out there?
Engineering.
Okay, good. Good.
So I worked various odds and ends
Okay.
after that. But one of them was at the Washington Apartments at Elman, Washington.
They're still there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I got on as a night friend of mine was, well, I got on just before he came in. He was made manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on nights for quite a while.
Okay.
And then I got on days. My dad took the night job. He was on work at that time. This was Depression.
This was after 1920. This was the 1930s?
30s.
Uh-huh.
Early
Okay.
30s.
All right.
And I worked around there in repair and maintenance.
Uh-huh.
Learned a lot.
Yeah.
And let's see. I had applied to Olds one time to go to work over there. And of course, never heard anything.
Yeah.
But at the apartments, one thing I did, this was back in the old days, we had to have an aerial on the roof for radios.
Okay. Yeah.
And a fellow came down one time, he told my dad they'd like to have me, get me on the aerial. There's no radio.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up and sprung it, moved down. And a little later, he had a little trouble and he said something about it. I went in, checked it out. And let's see, I was married. I had a youngster then. But that night he came down and saw my dad. I was talking with him. They were up in age. And says, I'm going to get him in the Olds. Well, says, tell him to go over and get a registered for employment.
Okay.
And I did, and I walked in, and I mentioned the name Red Cherry. Well, yeah, I'll give you an application. So I filled it out and turned it in. I told him. And went back to work at the apartments. I was just full part-time.
Okay.
They'd had to lay me off because they had to cut back.
Yeah.
But then they called me back soon as they needed some help. And we were laying some flooring. Business end of the apartments. Guy came in and he says, just had a phone call. I want you over to the Olds.
Okay.
I laid my hammer down and everything and moved over. That time, he opened the door, come in, have a chair.
That was Red Cherry again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Come in, have a chair.
Uh-huh.
Word had come down from above.
Mm-hmm.
He was a special assistant to the general manager.
Ah, I see.
And name of Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to work. He says, you want to work today? This is 3:00 in the afternoon. I said, yeah. So, all right, so I worked an hour
How about that?
over in Parts Export.
That was in building,
That was in building 1.
over
The-
there. Okay. Yeah.
It was the original Oldsmobile
Mm-hmm.
building.
Yeah. Right along Division Street there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they turned it into a parts export. Most of the parts went to Australia
Oh,
for their assembly.
isn't that interesting?
And what it was they had bins all the way around with screws and bolts, nuts, and small parts.
Mm-hmm.
It was small parts export.
What year was that, Al?
That would have been 36.
1936. Okay.
And there were about, I'd say 15 fellas in there, including the boss, Work Sharp.
Okay.
Don't know whether you ever heard of him.
No, never did.
He was a swell guy. We would get an order sheet. And they were always alike. I had a section, nuts and bolts and washers and small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We'd take 12, put them in a sack, make up 6 boxes. And we'd have a long order sheet.
Mhm.
Once we got order done, in the boxes, we'd haul it over. And then they had checkers, and we'd go through it.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you did it right.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
you had that
Yeah.
many in there. And that was, when I worked there for almost a year, I guess.
Okay.
It was a nice place to work.
And that was all doing that same sort of task.
Yeah, every day you go in and
Pull the nuts and bolts and off they would go and ship them. Were they shipped out of the same building, right out of that building, or did they go somewhere else?
I think there was a truck well right next,
Uh-huh.
just a bay over or
Okay.
something.
Did you do any wandering around the plant at that time to see what was
Not
going
very
on?
little,
Okay.
very little.
Uh-huh.
We'd come in and we were kind of a group in
Yeah.
ourselves.
Where did you park? Or did you walk?
I walked
Where were you
I
living there?
on North Logan,
Oh, okay.
900 block north,
Okay.
and walked to work
Uh-huh.
and walked home again at
Yeah.
4:00.
Yeah.
Well, no, we didn't work nights. That was a daytime job.
Uh-huh.
which was good.
Do you remember what you
And
made? How much an hour?
it started at 40 cents an hour and we got, I think 36, then 40. I got up to 44
Okay.
cents an hour.
What did you make over at Durant? Do you remember that?
Can't remember it.
Okay.
Not very much.
Yeah, it was a summer job. I would suspect it was kind of low. Okay.
Because I was trying to get to college.
Yeah.
It was somewhere around $40 a month or something. But
Okay, so you were in export then for about a year.
yeah. And incidentally, this fellow that got me in, as I say, he was working up the
Yeah.
6th floor.
You said his name was Taylor?
Yeah. And he walked in one day in this parts export, looked around, and of course he's all dressed up. There's the guy I want. Came over, and something wrong with his aerial, and he wanted me to fix it.
Oh, his outside antenna for his
On top of the
on the roof. Oh yeah.
Which he wanted me to fix him up. Okay. He turned around, went down. Boy, the boss, who's that? Just a friend of mine. But that was it.
Yeah.
And then things kind of slowed down, and they loaned us out
Okay.
to the line when they were short people.
Okay.
We were expendable.
So where was the assembly line there?
In 20, right off Division Street.
Okay. And did it run? It ran the full length down 20
All the way.
and 16s and.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I worked on different spots. I put on tires or wheels. One job I remember definitely, the bodies came in the north end. We're up on the 2nd floor.
Okay.
Where they were stored. And they would haul them out as the tape indicated. They go down the line. The first job I had was with another guy at the end of the line going south, grabbed the body, and wheeled it around, and started back north again.
Really? Now, was it on its wheels or just in the body?
It was on
a body jack.
A body jack on wheels.
Uh-huh.
But we would wheel those around and head them back in the other direction.
This was on the 2nd floor, was it?
Yeah.
So this was kind of like the body float area. Is that, or was it actually a working area?
This was the line.
So they were actually working on the vehicle.
Yeah. The float was up there to the front.
Okay.
I never got up on that.
Yeah.
But I can remember hauling those things around.
So that was just a man push sort of thing.
Man, you had to wheel it around, turn it back. And you got to know how to lean.
Yeah.
But
so that was the upper floor there then was assembly kind of down and back.
It was, yes, it started at the north end, came around, went east and down the east side next to the windows.
Oh yeah.
And then they got to the body drop.
All right. So that was a big hole in the floor like we used to?
Yeah.
And a hoist of some kind?
A hoist, claws, grab it. The jack would go on back to
Yeah. That would have been sort of in the north end of 20 then somewhere?
North end of 20. And it went down into the top floor of 16. That was.
Yeah.
But I didn't do any work on that.
Yeah.
But then I went back to parts. Then they'd loan us out. I worked on putting on wheels on the main assembly line.
Where would that have been?
Right underneath the body.
Right straight under the sort of near the east wall of building 16 and 20.
Yeah. Well, it was towards the west wall of 20. The east wall was stock.
All right. So there's an aisle there between the wall and the. Okay.
Stock, the aisle, stock. And that was more or less a temporary job.
How'd the wheels come to you?
It came in on a conveyor. Let's see. And there's a fellow that took them off. Someone took them off the conveyor. They're
Stack
there.
them up, kind of?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Were those all wood spokes and
No,
that steel?
no,
Uh-huh.
that isn't too. I don't remember too much about
Yeah,
that, but
well,
I
that's
remember
okay.
putting them on, and
That's a little,
you had to tighten them up and
Yeah.
they went down.
was the car, what carried the car at that
It
point
was
in
on
time?
an overhead.
It was carried overhead?
Yeah, and then it came to a spot, raised a bit.
Uh-huh,
They unhooked it,
uh-huh.
ran the.
Then it ran on its wheels from there,
Yeah.
from then on?
As soon as it got its wheel down.
With a drag chain or something that pulled it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It went down and I don't know.
Yeah.
Just where it went
Yeah,
from there.
well, you only
We
saw
don't-
part of it,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I worked on that a while and then back to export. And I can't remember just how I made it. But I got transferred over to the rear axle assembly.
Okay. Where was that?
That was in building 21.
Okay.
Yeah, just a wall between the
Mhm.
assembly line and that.
Mm-hmm.
And the rear axle and a conveyor coming down. There would be the axle housing came to you on a conveyor.
Mm-hmm.
First guy on the line would stick it in the clamp,
Mm-hmm.
clamp it up. And there were about 20 guys on the line.
Okay.
Fed right down to where they would be put in order on a merry-go-round.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd take them there onto the car.
So you kind of fed the line directly, so to speak.
Yeah, it went over an aisle and down,
Yeah.
but my first job on that was putting on brake drums.
Okay.
Everyone that came down the line,
Yeah.
put on brake
Yeah.
drum, tighten it up.
Yeah.
And first you work up the line and I got you had a little time to wander.
Yeah.
I wandered around to the guy that put up the differential. He had a little guns around with different ratios.
Okay.
He had the teletype. And he would put them on a roller conveyor down to the line in order. And I would wander over and I learned to read the tape. Well, one day he was off. I knew how to read the tape. So I got up there and then when he came back, I don't know, he got on some other job. So I got the job because I could read the tape.
Uh-huh.
And that was, you'd walk over to a gun, pick up the differential, set it on the table.
Those babies were heavy.
Yeah, she got used to it.
Yeah.
Take off the cap that was there at the top, shove it down the line.
We didn't make those, did we?
No, they came in.
Mm-hmm. Would that little assembly line have been where the 1 in 20 that came right up to the offices used to be? You remember that one? Or was it in a different place than that?
It came right up to the see, the frames were put on just down the line a ways.
Okay.
As they came up, as 20 came into it then.
Uh-huh.
The line had started down the ways, the frame.
Okay.
And but our line went over and fed in right where the differential
went on the car.
where the rear axle went on.
Yeah.
It had the differential and everything in it.
Did that frame line go east and west, or did it? It must have.
No, it went north.
It went north, and then
the axle plant. Then it turned around.
And then turned around and came back. Okay.
20.
All right. So actually the frame line started in building 20 then?
Yes.
Or 21, excuse me.
In 21, yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
They had all they made the axle shafts and they turned the brake drums and
All right.
all in back there. And made the axle housing
Mhm.
back in the sheet metal.
Mhm.
So it was pretty much axle.
Did they do front axles there too? Do you remember?
Front axles were different. It wasn't a clear through axle.
Okay.
They
That was
were
a
put on with
independent suspension at that
Yeah,
time?
yeah.
All right. Mhm.
So it had nothing to do with it.
Mhm. How about with the knuckles and those kinds of things, the front suspension components?
Those were manufactured in 21.
All right. So they were all, the axle plant
That
then
was
really
axle
did
plant.
both front and rear, sort of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we did the assembly in the
Mhm.
rear.
Mhm. Okay. Was the plating plant there then in
Yeah.
78?
I was trying to think who this. No, can't remember.
It's all right.
We didn't get back there very
Yeah.
much.
Further away.
We didn't wander
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah. Okay.
But am I
Oh no, doing great.
see? I was on the. I had that job for the better part of a year,
All right.
and I had one time I had gone up to plant layout
Was that in 40 at that time?
in 40,
Mm-hmm.
and I had talked with Henry Summers,
Oh goodness.
and I found out later that he, didn't need me.
Oh,
He
okay.
didn't want me.
Uh-huh.
Well, I asked. I can't think who was head of salary or head of office people at that time, but I had gone to him. And he said something about he'd keep me in mind. And Henry was put off on special assignment. Jerry Joint took his place.
Okay.
There happened to be a vacancy. Somehow he got my name and he sent on me
I'll be
to
done.
come up to layout.
When would that have been about?
Let's see. I went in at 36. That would have been about 38.
38? Okay.
30, 39, right in there.
Okay.
And I had talked with Henry once before, and I found out later, and he says, I wasn't the type.
Yeah.
But I went up this time and saw Jerry Joint. He hired me.
I'll be done.
And right now,
Mm-hmm.
I went back to the axle plant one time. Foreman, well, he didn't have anybody read the tape.
Oh my Lord, nobody was trained except you.
He knew how,
Yeah.
but he hadn't trained a guy.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
here I am, head guy on the
Yeah.
line.
What did you just kind of went immediately right to layout? You didn't go back to the
Next
line?
day, well, I went up to see him, and they sent me over to see him. He says, come in tomorrow morning.
Oh my goodness.
I never quit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wow.
They just transferred me.
Yeah.
It was unorthodox, so grand.
Yeah.
But I understood later that, well, he wouldn't speak to me for a while.
Oh my God.
The foreman. But I got into layout.
Okay.
When Henry came back,
Oh my.
I was in. It was only a couple of weeks.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I started. I had my own drawing board.
Uh-huh.
Started. And I worked with Roscoe Goddard.
I don't know him.
Well, he was in there.
How many people in the department at that time?
I think about 8 or 10.
Okay.
on board,
Yeah.
on our drawing board.
Yeah.
We did it all by drawing,
Yeah.
templates,
Mm-hmm. No model boards.
no model.
Okay.
Kind of, you had a piece of paper and you put down paper templates around
Yeah.
until you got it and explained it that way. I can remember just getting a group of foremen and general foremen around and here's what we want to do,
Oh, yeah.
templates.
What area were you working in, or weren't you specific in those days?
I was engine plant.
Okay. Now, that was your first taste of the engine plant.
Yeah,
Okay.
never been in it.
Yeah.
But they tied me in with this. My first job, right outside of Building 40, where the scrap pits were.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, they wanted an extension on the rails so they could load trucks off the end.
Oh.
And I had to make up a sketch showing the additional rails.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know anything about it. I just went out and did it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The other fellows were on.
Yeah.
Real good fellows. Way more Cedar Quest, you know, some of those.
Okay.
But they were a good bunch to work with.
Yeah.
But then our big job came in laying out a new piston plant, new piston department.
All right.
They had some new machines in and laid it out. Goddard and I laid it out.
Mm-hmm.
Had it all on paper, and then we had the foreman come up to the drawing board, explained what we wanted to do.
Okay.
I got the job explaining.
Wow.
So that was kind of the start.
Yeah. What was where in the engine plant at that time, Pete?
The engine plant was in building 28.
Okay.
The crankshaft department was in the front of 33.
Okay.
And then there was a tool, let's see, part of the piston ran into 33, and then the tool room was upstairs in the back
Oh, in the back part there? Yeah.
of 33.
Uh-huh. Was the block line out in 28?
Block line was almost all 28.
Where was engine?
I mean, it was almost block, entire block line.
Okay.
And camshaft,
Mm-hmm.
cylinder heads.
Okay. Where was assembly?
Assembly was along the east side
Of 28?
of
Oh,
28.
good. That's good.
It was right down to the end.
Mm-hmm. It
And
started at the south end and came north?
no, it started north and went south.
It went south.
Yeah, the crankshafts were front in 33. They came over on, we finally put in the conveyor line, overhead
Mhm,
conveyor for
mhm.
that. But the blocks started right in the front end of 28.
Okay.
Uh,
And the block line was a long, skinny block line? It just went way, way down to the other end and, or did it
this
loop
was
back
assembly
and forth?
line.
Okay, excuse me, assembly line?
Yeah. Oh, it started at the south end. I got
Okay.
it.
The assembly
Because
line started at the
It's
south
the
end?
south end.
Okay,
That's where the housings and cylinder blocks
okay,
were down at the south end.
okay.
It ran north, and the whole front end was test room.
Oh, okay. Right up there where the oil room and those kinds of things,
Uh,
were they there?
No, we
No.
had offices up there.
Okay, all right.
But this was test room.
Mm-hmm.
Offices were upstairs.
We're upstairs, okay.
Mighty small offices.
Yeah, yeah,
But they would start where the blocks finished up, the
Okay.
south end of 28.
mm-hmm.
They put on the housings, heading north,
Come forward,
and they trucked pistons over and the connecting rods.
okay.
We later put in conveyors.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a camshaft and the test room and storage.
Okay. Now, was that just a 6-cylinder engine that you were making then, or was that the 6 and 8?
Six and eight.
All right.
Well,
Yeah, I guess we would have had an 8 at that point in time.
yeah, we had eight.
The old straight 8.
Which I think they were both on the same line.
Mhm. I think that's true.
And they,
I've seen pictures of them both
Yeah.
on the same line.
yeah, because there wasn't room.
Yeah. That was just a little dolly thing that ran on rails, it looked like.
Yeah, it was about that high and
Uh-huh.
it just set the block in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. What was, let's see, was building 38 there?
38 was across the tracks.
Yeah, and what was going on in that?
Got me right now.
It's okay.
Can't think.
Yeah. Well,
Later.
I guess it wasn't engine stuff, apparently.
No, that's where the new 8-cylinder engine went in.
Eventually, the
Yeah.
V8, yeah.
Yeah. 38 and
36,
36.
yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, well, anyway, so now you're in the engine plant, working on layout stuff.
Yeah, and
Now, this is all before the war. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3, 4. But you see, we find a few names, and it all helps. I think that's all the people pictures I got in that bunch.
I haven't seen those for 18 years.
But you're better off guessing than I am. Well, I think I know all these guys except that guy.
That's Cartwright.
Oh, is that Cartwright?
Yeah.
That's Buckley, Redburn, and Gallen, and Cartwright.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
George Redburn, that's Cartwright. Okay. I didn't know him. That's the same picture.
Oh, you didn't know him?
No, that's Bob Summer.
That's Bob Summers.
Huh? And there's a bunch of guys that you'll recognize.
Dave Genie.
Yep.
Yeah. Maury.
Riney, and Niles.
Niles. Yeah, that's Riney.
I think I didn't write those down, but I know all those guys. So, know anybody in that picture on that one for a game?
Well, there's Cartwright.
This first guy?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the right, it's right-hand side. It's Cartwright.
Him. Him. I can't think of a name there.
They may be all brass. I'm not
I
sure.
think they are. There's always had a sheet metal. Yeah, he was head of the sheet metal.
Okay.
Bunch.
Let's see. That's in the shadow.
Boy, I know it. He was Walt Campbell's boss.
So he's in the sheet metal processing end, or
He was
or in the plant?
down in the plant.
Or it's like the superintendent.
Yeah.
Okay. I can probably find that on a supervision chart. Okay. There's Bob Russell, I recognize right there.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Beacon around.
Yeah. Okay, so there's another guy. Yeah.
Hitting the light.
Yeah.
Just right
Get it where
there.
you look at it.
But a bunch of guys that didn't know what they were there for.
Mm-hmm. Right, they're all just enjoying it.
Can't remember a gang. That's Coleman right there.
Coleman?
Remember him?
No, what did he do?
He was over joined up there in 40.
Oh, he was
John
the chief.
Coleman.
He was the process engineer's boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's see, that's, just a minute, get the right one again. Which one is he? This guy right here.
Right there.
Okay, so that's, right under that, outlet.
John Coleman,
Mm-hmm. I've seen that
Slow
name
guy.
now that you mention it.
real good guy. This one. These were just onlookers down here.
Yeah, may very well be. Okay, well, that's a few guys. See, and I think that may be all of the people pictures again. And let's see. See if you recognize either of these guys.
Yep, Bob Summers and me. I'm afraid of that one.
I don't know that one.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I happened to just run across those when I was looking through the thing. And there's another bunch that you'll probably recognize.
Yep, Summers, Knight, Redburn.
Not Preston,
No.
Henderson. Henderson was the guy's name.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember his first name. Did I ever get it on here?
Gee,
No, I didn't even write it down. But I better write down Henderson or I'll forget it. He was our tool engineer or something. You
Yeah.
remember that? Look
he
at
did a lot of running around.
Yeah, I don't know if he's accomplished anything. Look at Kendall's face. He looks like he's sunburned.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Well, anyhow, so there's a mess of photographs that I dragged out just to kind of show you remind you of a few things and people that might be able to be identified, which is helpful, so. Well, Al, anything else you want to share with us?
I can't think of anything. It
Okay,
pretty well covers it.
right. Well, you did a good job
Right.
back in the early days there. That was a good bunch of stuff.
It'll be something.
Oh, it will. It'll be helpful to us to figure out what was where. I did drag out some old maps that I thought might be helpful also, like 30, there's a 35 map, not a very good map, but it shows some of the things that you were at. So, I mean, here's engine and motor test. It talks about up in the north end of 28 and building 36, it says was motor storage, and
Yeah.
this was, crankshaft was out in 38, it says, and so that was kind of what it, so then 40, this is 1941. This was then all guns in 36 and 38 apparently.
20 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
20 millimeter, 37 millimeter,
Uh-huh.
upstairs.
Okay. And then, see, all it said out here in 32 at that point in time was export shipping. So they hadn't
Yeah.
turned that into guns yet. And then 43, see, I've got a map here, but it doesn't tell anything what was going on. Did you ever get down in the little gun shooting
I never
range?
got inside.
Never got in, okay.
Listen to it.
Yeah. Did
That
they,
was off limits.
was it? Did they fire that right all the time?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that was the test
And you could hear that just above ground as you walked around?
faintly.
Faintly. Uh-huh.
Something that is. Thinking of. I know in 70, well, I was reminiscing 75. Shelves upstairs.
Uh-huh.
I can remember going down through there, looking up in the air, putting in a conveyor for automotive later on.
Oh, during the end
While
of
they
the.
were still
Uh-huh,
making shells up there.
uh-huh.
What'd you look at that?
Right. Good old stuff.
Just putting in a conveyor line.
Now, you remember George Frinsler, of course.
Oh, yes.
I ran into him last week over at the retirees thing. Do you remember that they probably sent you a note?
Yeah,
And they had this big shindig over to the Clarion, and George was over there.
it was.
So I ran into him, and Dick Niles was there, and Riney, I saw Riney Janetsky. Um, those were the only guys
When was that?
that was last week, Wednesday or Thursday.
I guess I got something on it, but
Yeah,
I'm homebound.
yeah. Well, I recognize that, yeah.
Getting away now.
Yeah,
This,
yeah.
take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Um, well, I guess that's it.
Okay.
I just, there's one old thing. When we built 301 and 302,
Okay.
the other way around, engineering told us that's just as far south as we could go because there's quicksand
The
underneath.
bad soil.
Bad soil.
Uh-huh.
And now
We filled that all up with buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just one of the things that
Yeah.
you couldn't do then.
Well, maybe they didn't have the knowledge on how to do that, perhaps then. So.
I went through the place when they had open house
Mm-hmm.
a year or two ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I went through one upstairs. I had to ask my way to layout.
Yeah.
Ron, what's his name now? He was a GMI student when I was there.
Oh, okay. So you found somebody that you did recognize. Yeah. Uh-huh. Good.
It was interesting. I just went over to 3 and passed through real quick.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Well, I need to get your address.
309 Woodhaven Drive,
Lansing?
Lansing, 48917.
48917. Okay. And what's your phone number over there?
323-3068.
3068. Okay. Good.
That's out in Delta Township.
Yeah. See, Al recounted on the way out the door that he had worked for Arcade Jack. This was shortly after he graduated or attended Michigan State for a year doing drafting work. Evidently, Arcade Jack set up a small engineering shop here in town, and Al worked for him as an apprentice for no salary, and he was taught how to do some drafting work and better understood how to do a good job of drawing and lettering. And Arcade Jack evidently was an interesting person to work for and was somewhat different than most engineering people at that point in history.